Hello there, and welcome to day number 87 on the road to 2000 ELO Rapid Series. We're playing with the black pieces in this one against D4. So we'll go D5, and it looks like they're going to Fianchetto on G2. So let's just play normally here. We'll just get the knights out. Okay, this is an opening I'm not familiar with, so we'll test ourselves against unfamiliar territory. I can play E5 here. I might as well take up the center when I can. Um, if pawn takes, knight takes, I'm not really too scared of F4. Maybe bishop F4 could be a move. Um, in which case I probably will. Ooh, okay, knight here. That I mean, I'm not just gonna jump in for the trade right away. I can just develop a piece further. And then bishop f4 we can always take after that. So let's go bishop d6 here. Everything's still protected. We're preparing castling. And okay, we got a trade of knights early on. Oh, perhaps now f4 comes in. Okay, no f4. We can maybe take the opportunity to solidify our pawn on d5. I'm worried about f4, in which case bishop back and then bishop takes here. But then that's not a threat because we have bishop d5 check afterwards now that the king is castled. So we can just castle ourselves. So, okay. And do we want to play c6 at some point? Probably. I think it would make sense to do. The knight coming onto d2, maybe they're trying to go knight f3. So let's just create space for our bishop on c7, maybe transition it to b6 later on to eye the king. And yeah, this is why we made this move. I'm playing relatively quickly, I'm realizing. Maybe I should slow down a little bit. Here, after bishop g5, I can play h6, and they can't go back because that will lose them a bishop, so we're going to make them... Okay, trade the bishop for the knight. I like this for me. I mean, the bishop pair looks like it's going to be pretty strong in this game. I don't see a way to hit the queen right away. Okay. Let's see what we're working with here. Okay. Time to think. What's the queen doing? The queen's targeting b7, so if I ever move my bishop, b7 is hanging. I can play bishop b6 just to free up my bishop. So let's go for that. We might as well. If a4 comes in, okay, they play e3. My opponent's playing pretty fast too. Bishop e6 looks like a nice move, but then maybe... Actually, yeah, bishop e6 looks pretty good. Maybe they play knight d4, in which case... maybe I should prevent knight d4. Let's see. How can I do that? How can I prevent knight d4? I don't think I can. At least not off first glance. So if knight d4 is coming, maybe that just makes bishop e6 not that good of a move. Perhaps I can go bishop g4, creating a target. Don't see the downside to this. It also helps me connect my rooks. Bishop e6, knight here, and yeah, I don't really see the follow-up. I could try playing this, but then I just hang a pawn. So yeah, let's just go bishop g4. They're going to go knight d4, probably. And then I'll just bring my rooks in the game. Yeah, okay, so we'll go rook e8. Probably they're going to play f3 at some point, or h3. h3 makes more sense, kicking out my bishop. Not scared of that, though. Okay. This, we said a5, but now I don't think that's a move. Gotta be a little bit more creative. I could play here. Or I could try to defend this pawn another way. I could bring the queen back, potentially, in order to defend the pawn. Or maybe... Yeah, queen here. Seems like it could make sense. Sorry about the cough, folks. Been sick for a little while. So queen e7's one move. I could maybe take, after pawn takes back, bishop here, and then pawn up. Well, actually, if this pawn takes back, then, let's think about this. But yeah, taking doesn't seem like a bad option, actually. And we have the same color bishop, but I think I have the better position after all this happens. Here, I just push a pawn. That knight was very annoying on d4, and I feel like it would stay there forever if I didn't go for this. So I could play bishop here. The rook simply moves. And then maybe I could play like bishop c4, rook takes, queen takes. I have stuff brewing. I just gotta find how I get the decisive advantage. I could just keep it safe here as well and play b6. I think that's what I'll do for now. Just toss the ball back in their court. Is this a threat? Well, they played it, so they must think it is. Takes. I'm not overly concerned by this. I have bishop here now, and then bishop here. Trade. Let's give this a go. Bishop c4 is going to force a trade of rooks, probably. Well, no, it doesn't force a trade of rooks, but looks pretty decent. And yeah, here, okay, there must be something that wins here. I'm looking at rook e2. Rook e2, they'd probably have to move their pawn. And then I can't imagine this being a good situation for white, but I need to see how we win this first. They move their pawn. Simply queen here. We can try to trade the rooks. Give this a go. I'm not hanging anything. I mean, there's a pawn hanging, but that's fine. Okay, I can trade the queens. I don't think I want to. Instead, gonna go queen e6. I'm threatening a check. I'm also threatening queen e3 check, and I'm also threatening rook a1 check. So let's do that. Pawn's still hanging, but I feel like I'm going to make the bigger threats in the position here. Okay. Check. Trades the rooks. Wait, doesn't this just win? This looks really good, no? After rook takes, queen takes, bishop blocks, only move, queen takes. I guess they have the option of trying to promote this pawn. So after bishop blocks, well, actually, then I would just play queen check. I'd have to think about that, but I think their only recourse right now is actually bishop f1. If they take with the rook, I'm pretty sure they just lose, no? Yeah, okay. Just won the game. Nice. I'd have to take a look at whether or not they could have tried pushing that pawn more. Very interesting attempt there, potentially. But a nice little quick win. Hey, it's good. We're back on track. 1796 ELO, and hopefully continuing to rise. No mistakes, no blunders, no misses, according to the preliminary game review. Let's take a look at the analysis and see exactly how this played out. Okay, so we were playing with the black pieces in this one. We got d4, d5, g3, and so I just chose to develop kind of normally, knight c6 here, and now this c3 move. I wasn't familiar with this opening, but I just chose, okay, we're going to bring the knights out, we're going to bring the pawns out. Yeah, this opening's already pretty good for a black, according to the analysis. Here, I chose not to trade the knights, instead just develop normally, prepare castling, and we both castle kingside, and a healthy position out of the opening. We got the pawns solid on d5, controlling the center. We got the knight and bishop out. I was maybe a little concerned about the possibility of f4, but here f4 is not a threat. just going to show you why that's not a threat. It looks like a pawn is hanging, but if bishop takes, simply knight takes. Well, actually, bishop c5 check right away. So knight takes back would, I think, be a mistake. Okay, actually, it's still good. But here you just win a piece. Here you just win a piece. And so, yeah, that's not a threat. So here, knight d2 is played. I just go c6 to solidify my pawn on d5, but even more than that, also to give my dark-squared bishop a little bit more flexibility, because on the next move, knight f3 is played, and now bishop c7 is what I wanted to play. So the move was multi-purpose, this c6 maneuver. And here, the bishop comes out, pinning the knight to the queen. No real threat. We can just play h6. If the bishop went back to h4, which is usually a way to preserve the pin, then we'd simply play g5, and they'd actually lose a piece for 2 pawns. So still, it's you got to play carefully, but black's certainly better after that happens. So they choose to trade. And yeah, I mean, it's still relatively balanced, but black is certainly a little bit better. We got the bishop pair, we've got the nice little pawn chain in the center. And now I went bishop b6 so that I could free up my light squared bishop without hanging this pawn on b7. And after they played a move, I moved my light squared bishop out to g4, creating a threat of taking twice on f3, so they have to move their knight. And they went knight d4. Here I took the opportunity to just centralize my rooks and bring them into the semi-open file. And knowing that a5 was probably coming, which would be a kind of annoying move because it would drop one of my pawns, I decided to trade my bishop away for their knight. They had a really solid knight on d4, and usually you like keeping bishops on the board rather than knights, depending on how the position looks, of course. But in this case, that knight would have been a real thorn on my side for the rest of the game, and I think taking was a good practical choice. After e takes back on d4, I played b6 here, just keeping the pawn on the board. And now, after a5, there's ideas here of going just simply b takes a5, allowing this, and then playing something like rook b8, attacking the queen, attacking the pawn. I don't know, something like takes, and then rook a b8, like I was saying. And if the queen tries to hang on to the pawn, which, is very illogical, I mean, you could go like this, trying to double attack this pawn. Now, bishop e2 actually carries a bigger threat, so it's the same idea, interestingly enough. And now the rooks are not connected anymore, so this is a much more risky option. So yeah, a couple of things worth considering, and back rank threats are looming. So anyways, I decided to just play bishop e2 right away, ask the rook where it's going to go. The rook slides to e1, and I went bishop c4 here. This is my inaccuracy of the game. I think it's the only inaccuracy I played. I played like 95% accuracy in this game, which allows for the queen to just simply sidestep. There doesn't need to be the immediate trade of rooks, but since they traded rooks, I end up with a much, much better position. Because now rook e2 is a huge threat, and my opponent fails to address it by going queen b4. The move that would have kept the game going a little longer would be queen d1, keeping an eye on this e2 square. Even though you can't take the rook, you at least get to slide the queen back and protect against the threats that are being built. So, for example, queen d1, if I still play rook e2, then, okay, now you play f4, trying to keep the queen out, which my opponent tried, and we'll take a look at why it didn't work. So here, rook e2, my opponent played f4, and now queen e6 is the nice little finishing touch here, coming in with a check on e3 to not only threaten checks on e1 after they choose to ignore it. Queen e3 check is actually a faster mate, interestingly enough. I decided to go for this, and the line I was considering, so obviously what we got in the game is just checkmate, right? The line I was considering is bishop f1, and this actually fails because of queen e3 check. So queen e3 check, and now no matter where the king goes, if the king goes to g2, funnily enough, the move is bishop takes on f1, which is pretty cool. And if the king goes to h1, then you have queen f3, and then this is mate. So yeah, that would have been a little bit more testing, but in this case, I mean, it's checkmate, no matter how you look at it. And a nice little win. Nice little win. Definitely happy with it. Got 2 wins in a row now. This one's definitely more convincing than yesterday's win. And hopefully I can just keep putting work in. And, we've stayed around this 1800 range for a long time now. I want to start making some steady strides towards 1850, 1900 eventually. We'll see how long it takes. I don't know. We're quickly approaching the end of January. I have to at least be like 1820 or something by the end of January. That's my like internal monologue. I'm really hoping that happens, and I'm gonna try to put the work in, and we'll see where it goes. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope you enjoyed the winning pattern at the end there. If you did, please, you know the drill. Like, comment, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Working towards 1,000 subscribers, having fun with YouTube, and I'm so glad to share the journey and games with you all. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.